What are you still salty about? In a 5th grade science test the question was, are there any stars in the solar system? I answered, yes. Teacher marked it wrong. I went up afterwards and said, what about the sun? He said, he meant that all the other stars are not in our solar system and kept it marked wrong. Although I am harboring this for 50 years now. He was all around one of the best teachers I ever had and just passed away a week or so ago. But damn. That should have been marked right. I did gymnastics as a 14-year-old. And was training with some other kids. I was arguing with one. Saying that the sun was just another star and that the other stars just looked smaller because they were further away. We called out for the coach to resolve the argument and he said the sun was not a star and I was wrong. The other kid got to smugly declare victory. That is the exact moment I lost my last shreds of faith that adults knew what they were doing. When I was in high school someone tagged up the school. They announced there would be a reward for anyone who rats anyone out. I get called in the office and find out I'm suspended for vandalization. I didn't do it and had no idea who. 4 days later I'm allowed to come back to school because they found who actually did it. I just got an apology. Public humiliation. Private apology. Me and some others in primary school were saying the biggest numbers we knew of. Everybody was saying like 100,000 and a million and then I'm like a trillion. And they refused to believe it was a real number. On a 4th grade math test we had to make a shape that had only 4 sides. One set of parallel lines. And only one right angle. There were probably more requirements but I can't remember. I remember almost crying at my desk and spending 20 minutes on that one question while constantly telling my teacher that it wasn't possible but according to her it was. And the next day we went over the answer key. And the answer had 2 right angles. Yo, I had something like this happen to me. We had a paper sheet with tons of math questions. One of them was impossible and the whole class knew it. We went up to our teacher and she said no questions. Next day we were reviewing it and she said it was impossible but still marked us all wrong. Edit. A lot of people were bugging me about punctuation so I fixed it. That is infuriating. When I was in high school, I was occasionally allowed to drive my family's 3rd car. It had a slow leak in one of the tires. So we were all supposed to check the pressure and put air in it if we needed to. I picked up a friend to go to a movie. And when we came out one tire was completely flat. It wasn't the one with the leak. So I put the spare on and drove home. I got absolute hell from my parents about it. How irresponsible I was to not check it. I'd have to pay for the repair. Why didn't I call roadside assistance? Etc. Took it to get fixed. Repeat the whole lecture as we're dropping it off. And the tech who did it called my mom and told her he'd found a nail in the tire and there was no way I could have seen it coming. She refused to apologize and I still had to pay for it. That's not even bad parenting. That's just bad personing. Being charged $1,000 for a battery and alternator change. They also destroyed my starter motor in the process and rounded a bunch of my bolts. They left tools in the engine bay. I don't even have that car anymore and I'm still salty. Beep humitis. 3 months ago I went on maternity leave. The woman hired to cover for me was being paid $3 more than I'm currently paid. She was going to be kept on as a full-time accounting assistant after I returned. But she couldn't keep up with my daily tasks and completely beeped up several databases that I had to correct when I returned to work the following month. When I asked for a raise, they offered me $50 after telling me how crucial I am to the structure of the company. Needless to say, I'm looking for a new job. In 4th grade English class EU I've used the word gross in a random sentence we had to write. The teacher argued that it isn't a real word. I said that it is. That I saw it a few times in video games and movies, and she said that they aren't a reliable source. I said to her that I'm gonna show it in the dictionary. But she instead grabbed me by the arm and took me out of the classroom and locked the door. To this day I am still fuming about this. And then she had the nerve to be all chummy when I met her once in a supermarket. Gross. Edit. In both cases it was meant like disgusting, and I know there are even more meanings behind the word. I wonder if she knows by now. You could have also said you met the grossly overweight teacher in the grocer's buying a gross of eggs. 20 years ago I had 3 friends show up at my house, and when they left my wallet with 80 in it was missing. One of the guys felt bad and gave me 20 back. 3 years after that we are in the BK drive-thru and he whipped out my wallet. Still salty. His FB friend request has just been sitting there for like 2 years. Like 12 years ago. A friend of mine brought his friend to my house. My phone went missing at some point. He was the only person there that I had not known for half my life. He tried to blame it on my siblings' friends, but didn't realize that he was the only one there who didn't consider our house a second home. I ended up getting someone I knew to tell him she lost her phone, and she got him to offer her my exact phone, but at some point he must have realized what was going on and he ghosted her before she could buy it back for me. Like 6 years later he tried to come back for a party and I told him to get lost. Still mad. Came second in food tech competition. Made a lovely main course, then longuise de chat biscuits with lemon posset for dessert. I made this dessert because the judges prior to this day told us don't make a cake for dessert. Guess what won first place? A peeping cake. I was probably 5 years old visiting my mom at the hospital after she gave birth to my brother, and she was given food on a tray which she didn't want, so she gave it to me. I put the tray on the table, and as I was eating, the nurse takes the tray away from me and throws away the food. That may have my first true instance of anger in my life. I'm 27 now and I'm pissed as I'm writing this, haha. What a waste of food. If it's any consolation, where I work, we just talk family to go ahead and eat if the patient doesn't want it. Infectious diseases aside, of course. I found a bongo next to the trash at my old apartment and it was a perfect time capsule of the 90s. It had Grateful Dead stickers, a smiley face holographic sticker, a pot leaf sticker, an alien. I'm telling you, if someone made this as a prop for a movie about the 90s, I would have told them that it's too on the nose. When I came home from work, the first thing my GFS friend said was "You're welcome," and I was like, what? She had peeled off all of the vintage stickers and now it was just a boring trash bongo. I'm still mad. Don't touch my speep. When I was a freshman in college, my mom gave my car to my jailbird brother. Every time he got out, she'd scrape a bunch of stuff together for his fresh start without ever running it by me. He showed up to my school, changed the battery for me, and then drove away in it. He didn't tell me his intentions beforehand, so it wasn't until then that I caught on. As he drove off, I called my mom and she just said, "I'll help you with a new one." He moved out of state with that car, wrecked it within weeks, and has since gone back to jail multiple times. Neither of them have given me a sincere apology to this day. When my mom put my sister's name on my birthday cake. Later that night I also walked in on my parents getting their freak on. Pretty horrible way to turn 13. Still angry. Our wedding photographer left part of their lens cap on, so every photo is shrouded in a massive black ring. No good photos from the wedding. My copyright law teacher gave us a case for our pass or fail final exam. I solved the case we needed to predict the outcome based on evidence and he failed me. Later that day, I decided to look the case up and turns out I was right. When I confronted him he said the grade was already posted and even though I was right he wouldn't do anything about it. Had to retake the class. That